Hello and welcome back for match 2. We got a clear mulligan with 0 lands on the draw. And yeah, we got a pretty good mulligan to 6 with a lot of diverse 1-mana spells, and we get a scry to help find our second land or another card that we can play. Got some serious value from the scry by scrying a command to the bottom when we are stuck on 1 land, so that should help the hand a bit to make up for the mulligan. That Inquisition actually hurts quite a bunch, given that we are a bit creature light and have these 2 rancors against what likely is either Death Shadow aggro or black-green midrange like Abzan, most likely. So yeah, he can possibly just like shut us down for now if he has removal for the Goblin Guide. Yeah, and it seems to be some black-green based deck, Death Shadow aggro or traditional black-green midrange. Let's see what he's got onto. If he passes here with mana open, we're not gonna use Rancor, it's just too risky against removal. Collective Brutality. That is pretty good. That is a pretty bad top deck, not much we can do. So we just pass. And yeah, it seems to be Abzan, thanks to the Shambling Vent. And yeah, we still got nothing to play. Our draws are turning out really poorly currently, so I really hope that gets better. But yeah, that has been one of my issues occasionally with the archetype, that there's some consistency issues due to like how few lands the deck plays. And yeah, drawing a 3rd Burning Tree Emissary doesn't help the issue at all. So yeah, we can kind of concede here again. We have heard that before today, so deck is definitely not serving us too well today. I mean, then again, like, the deck really doesn't have that many like non-creature cards, and most of the cards in the deck, and especially the creatures, cost 1, so it's not like even the consistency that much. Like, it shouldn't, draws like that shouldn't even be that common with the deck, but maybe we just receive like the poor end of the variant spectrum, since I guess it can definitely be said or argued that this type of deck is quite vulnerable to like bad draws, because the bad draws usually are so bad that you don't even really get to play. And yeah, I think I like cutting the lightning bolts and the rampagers here. Although Rampager may be better than Rancor. Like, Rancor is really good against the Lingering Souls, and Pass is good against all the like good creatures. Yeah, I think I probably like it better like this. But there's an argument to be made, for example, to just like shave the 3rd Rancor for like a Rampager maybe. Not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think on that decision. I think I'll keep the 3 Rancors for now, simply because they have 4 Lingering Souls, and Rancor is really good against that. Actually, I think I'll go for the 2-1 split, it's a bit safer. Like, the problem is, this card is really bad against grinding, because, you know, they kill all your stuff, then you have Rancor, nothing to put it on. Plus they have more cheap removal these days with Pass and Fatal Push, so every time they have like removal mana open, we can't play it. So it's kind of problematic. Maybe it's would even be better to cut 2 Rancors, but I'll stick to 2 against the 4 Lingering Souls deck for now, especially because they can't like too aggressively leave mana open early on to blow us out, so that part shouldn't be that big of a deal. And since they grind, kind of is nice to have a card that makes our last surviving unit, last surviving creature matter more. Especially against Lingering Souls. Yeah, 3-land hand is fine. Like, if it was a 4-land hand, I would mulligan. But 3-land hand with this distribution is pretty good. It's not optimal because it would like a creature more to actually properly fully curve out, but relative to like the bad draws we had the last couple games, it is definitely a very reasonable hand. Lead with Experiment 1, of course. Likely into these two. If we are lucky, into Guide plus another 1-drop. Which would be really good and would suddenly make the hand a lot better. Not to say possibly great. But yeah, no creature for us. Instead, we draw a Force Land, which is arguably not very likely in a 18-land deck, because even a Simian Spirit Guide would have been much better with this given hand, so... And yeah, the problem sort of is we cannot really Rancor here, because the deck usually has 4 Pass to Exile, 4 Fatal Push. So yeah, I think I'll just attack without Rancor. It's just so extremely likely that he's gonna blow us out here. Normally, that I don't think we can justify Rancor. Plus, it's not like we have much to do with our mana next turn, so we can just easily use the Rancor next turn when he probably is like tapped out for his 2-drop. And yeah, there's the Fatal Push as expected, so it definitely paid off to hold back on the Rancor as expected. I guess I made a mistake. One thing I could have done is drop Rancor post-combat. That I should have definitely done. That was me being too sloppy and F6ing through the combat. So yeah, the right play is Rancor Goblin Guide after combat. Let's see if he has another Fatal Push. I mean, if all he can play is Fatal Push and already played one, that puts him on 3 instead of 7 outs. And I think, given how floody our hand is, I think we really gotta like try and go for it. And yeah, it paid off. It's not that likely that he has like 2 Fatal Push this early in the game, especially if his hand is a bit off as it seems. Yeah, I'm gonna just get Temple Garden and get in for 4. I mean, at least like thanks to the command, the Goblin Guide can punch through the Tarmogoyf trading. And currently even without the command, because Goyf would be a 3-4 right now, and the opponent was about to say might be color screwed on green, but he just slow rolled his green for the Fatal Push and to get this Shambling Vent out because he didn't seem to have a green 2-drop. Oh, that's a solid draw. Keep up the pressure, and yeah, our opponent has a Lingering Souls, so that's very good for our Goblin. So our Rancor is gonna put some work in. But yeah, the high amount of like 1 mana removal in Abzan these days, thanks to Fatal Push, really makes this matchup a lot better for Abzan than it used to be. I mean, he just has 2 removal now that we basically know of, so he can easily just blow up our last 2 threats, and then we sit there with 4 lands, a Rancor, and a Target's Command. And yeah, that's the spot, like, given that we have 4 lands. Where, what was I gonna say? Where Rampager would have been better than the Rancor, especially because in this spot we attack with bows, the opponent removals 1, we Rampager the other, and the opponent dies. So yeah, if we win this game, I'll probably, as nice as Rancor theoretically is against Lingering Souls, probably just gonna cut a second Rancor for the second Rampager. We're so close, like we are 1 off of killing him, but the thing is we're gonna have a hard time getting there, because unless he helps us with like another fetch, we will only get him to 1. If he never takes 1 more damage, it's gonna be hard to push that last damage. Yep, as expected. We get Rancor back, which at least means we can safely Rancor this, but what does that even mean if the opponent has another pass, so it doesn't really do anything. We kind of really needed to draw a creature here. Like preferably a Goblin Guide or a Bushwhacker on that turn rather than another command to push through. But yeah, maybe he'll fetch. Another Lingering Souls, that's fine. So all he has left is 1 path. Not even a prospective fetch land that he could use to go to 6. That's disappointing, to say the least. So yeah. But yeah, drawing a creature here with a Rancor is actually really nice, because now this guy is dying, and we get to replay the Rancor together with our Emissary. And that might be enough to push the last damage. Especially because if he decides to like go for a Shambling Vent attack on his turn, we can just deal 3 and suppress the life gain, and then win on the next turn with the last command. So yeah, it looks like we have a reasonable chance of winning this game, depending on what our opponent drew. Which is fairly impressive given that we drawn 4 lands in an 18 land deck. No Shambling Vent, that's great. I mean, let's just hope he goes for like the double Lingering Souls flashback sort of, and does not have another removal. Then, I mean, if he drew another pass or Fatal Push, this game is likely over, but there's only so much we can do against what our opponent is doing. Let's see if he goes block with everything. If that's how he blocks, we got him. Yep. The 1 damage we needed, we got it. The power of Rancor. Still a bit on the fence between like 2nd Rancor and 2nd Rampager. It's definitely a close call. Since, I mean, against all this removal, it's not like Rampager is great either. I'll probably try the 1 Rancor, 2 Rampager this game. I've never been the biggest fan of Rampager against these decks, simply because they have so much removal. You can never really rely on Rampager doing the job against their blocker, because if they have like a Goyf and a mana open, like what are you gonna do? You're gonna Rampager, they just blow you out, and then you're, if you weren't losing to the Goyf before, you're definitely losing to the Goyf after that play. Yeah, I think I'll try it like this, probably. I mean, Lingering Souls is fairly clunky, so sometimes it's just gonna be enough that they Lingering Souls, we attack, they block, we Rampager once with our biggest guy through the Lingering Souls, and that's enough damage to push them to the brink. Okay, this is once again quite an awkward hand, and I think this is the type of 3 land hand There we have the mulligan. Like, I don't think we can keep like hand with literally one real creature and like a bunch of situational stuff and 3 lands. And we are on the draw, so mulligan into 6 hurts less, especially thanks to the scry as well. So we go to mulligan this hand. This is much better. Still not perfect, but it's much better. And we got a Tarmogoyf. Do we want to draw this Tarmogoyf? I mean, we kind of want to draw a land, but since all our 1-drops actually play off of our Temple Garden, I think I'm fine with keeping the Tarmogoyf. Interesting decision. Does I mean Tarmogoyf sort of turns on the Spirit Guide? And right now drawing another land mostly makes Narcuttle and or Renegade potentially bigger and turns on our command, but we still don't get to like play more creatures than we are right now. So plus they might pass a creature. Yeah, I think I'll like the Goyf. I'll leave the Goyf on top and just hope they have a draw where they kind of rely on pathing, and if they pass one of these 3, we get the mountain to have everything we need basically, and having another really good threat to try and overload their removal seems like the way to go, especially on a mulligan to 6. But I think if we have the Spirit Guide to play the Tarmogoyf, it's right to leave it on top with this hand. But if you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Let me know why you think I'm wrong and try to like argue your point, because it's definitely not the clearest and most obvious decision for sure. But I think it just like leans a bit more towards leaving the Tarmogoyf on top for the mentioned reasons. Mulligan to 6, having enough threats, playing against a deck with pass. I think the fact that we're playing against a deck with 4 pass to exile might actually be like the largest tipping point towards leaving the Tarmogoyf on top and like making the decision more clearly drawn. Ooh, that is like sexy. Drawing that Burning Tree Emissary is like a gift sent from heaven, because now we get our Experiment 1 out of the Dark Confident range, get an explosive board presented, and have a 3/4 Tarmogoyf in play. That's amazing. And now the opponent is like very hard pressed to pass if they have a pass. And if they do so, we get to play our attacker's command as well, which is great. And if they don't, we still get to play our slightly crippled Nanam Renegade. Like, I really like the design of the card. The fact that it naturally has Death Touch and doesn't get it from like the counter or from Revolt, makes it a really well balanced card, since a 1/2 Death Touch is still fine in a lot of situations where you can't turn on the Revolt, even in decks like this, either with like Rancor and the Trampling and stuff as an attacker, or to like just chip through for 1 through like a big blocker, but also in like racy situations where you're like somehow raced against, dropping a 1/2 Death Touch will sway them from attacking for at least 1 turn. Then you can attack with everything except the Renegade if you want, leave the Renegade back further, like say against a Death Shadow aggro guy that has no removal left over and they have like something they're trying to race with, and having that Renegade sit there and keep them from doing that can help us to, for example, like build up a board big enough to just attack into their big guy and win, while they are incapable of preventing that by killing us before we get there, and stuff like that. Alright, our opponent is really taking his time. Alright. Some serious fetching going on. Still no white. Interesting. It's a bit annoying, but not that big of a deal. Seems like he doesn't even have a path if he Does not fetch white here. But he also doesn't seem to have a fatal push, which is great. And our Goyf is 4-5 now, so all's well that ends well. Alright, so I think best play here probably is put Rancor on this and attack with everything, because that's the guy he wants to trade with the most, and it's gonna be a bad block now because it still deals 3 damage. And if he double blocks the experiment, we can just like regenerate and kill one. And yeah, he's already like jumping. Considering the jump, we could have also put Rancor on Goyf, but I don't think I want to like safely like put him on the jump there. So I think that's like a smart choice, especially because the Tarmogoyf is like the first thing he's gonna kill anyway. So the Rancor will not stick on Tarmogoyf for long anyway. And now if he like kills the Tarmogoyf, we can put it on Experiment 1. We can even consider putting it on Experiment 1 to force him to kill the experiment. There's the removal, even in a way that makes it safe for us to Rancor, but I think we don't want a Rancor here. We just play another creature, especially because the Death Touch Rancor interaction that I mentioned might come up in this game in a relevant way against an opposing Tarmogoyf, for example. Like if the opponent finds a Tarmogoyf now, the Renegade Rancor is gonna be critical to pushing the last damage through. Or forcing like a premature trade with the Tarmogoyf, which is also great because then the Experiment 1 can finish the job. Oh, and of course there's Lingering Souls going on. Wanna do that, gonna drop it on the Experiment 1, because if his last hand card is a Fatal Push, we can at least regenerate, because Fatal Push can be regenerated, so we're not gonna lose the Rancor that way. I think we can attack like this, because he has to block both, otherwise he goes to 0. So he has no good like double block on the Renegade, which matters a lot. And yeah, it's nice. Rancor doing some good work here. The one-off is definitely right, I think, in this matchup, but I'm not sure if the second is better than any other card in the deck. Simply because of the issues with removal and stuff like that, and if they run us out of creatures and we have a Rancor left, that's really bad. But if they run us out of creatures and we have a Rampager left and are a little flooded, like in that last game, then it's a whole different ball game. Oh, sweet. I'm not gonna do that pre-combat actually, now that I think of it, because this might shrink due to regeneration, and then we can build it back up with these two. That's alright. We're gonna offer the trades here. Get our Rancors back, get a 2-3 Renegade, and are in a pretty good position. Thanks to Rancor. Like, Renegade Rancor is gonna beat his Bend plus Spirit, which is great. Ah, he got the discard for Rancor. That's a big deal here, actually. Oh yeah, that is also a really big deal. AKA, that should be game. Wonder what his last hand card is, though. Probably just a land. And that should be game. Really great comeback for a tough matchup like this. I mean, this is a grindy deck that is really well set up to deal with creature decks, and definitely not the easiest matchup. I would assume the matchup is like even. If it's favorable, it's only slightly favorable probably. It's not gonna be like a huge swing in either direction. It's probably gonna be a pretty close matchup. And it's kind of like unusual to see Dark Confident. Maybe he's just basically like black-green, splash Lingering Souls and pass, and not going too deep into the Abzan, because normally Abzan You don't usually see Dark Confident in Abzan. But yeah, we got him. Alright, that went a whole lot better than the bad draw in the first match. Even though we had a really poor non-game draw here, we still managed to turn it around with some really nice interactions and tight play to make for an interesting match. Alright, thanks for watching, stay tuned for the last match in a moment.